Hey there, everyone. As you get into the room, I'm just going to give people a few minutes and then we'll get started. But when you're here, if you'll introduce yourself in the little chat box, because I want to make sure we meet each other virtually, because I would hope that at the end, you can find someone with some similarities to you and you guys can kind of connect via LinkedIn or wherever else and maybe find a good accountability partner too. So just a few more minutes.
Ow.
All right, who can hear me? If you can hear me, go ahead and drop a smiley face in the chat. And if you're having any other issues with audio or anything, let me know. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. People will probably come in and out as time goes on. And, you know, we will handle that as that happens. So I wanna say welcome. And you guys, I'm just gonna start by saying, I missed an entire week of work, believe it or not. Don't let this red lipstick fool you. I had the flu all week and then I was ready to go back to work on Wednesday. I went to the doctor to just make sure everything was okay and she was like, surprise, you also have strep throat. So it has been quite a week. I thought about canceling and I was like, I feel a little better today and it's the end of the year and I really want to help people get started for 2020 on a good foot. So let me just go ahead and do this. So I am here miraculously and I'm hoping to make this worth your while, you guys. So bear with me if I take lots of breaks to drink water or whatever. My throat is struggling and this is the first day that I've actually gotten out of bed and zombie mode. So I'm feeling good though. So I think it's gonna be good. And today we're gonna learn about online portfolios. So if you don't know, my name is Nyla Spooner. I am a senior instructional designer in the oil and gas industry. I live in Houston, Texas. I've been in the industry for about 4 or 5 years now. I was in a grad program at the University of Houston, Human Resources Development, and I've been working full-time as a senior instructional designer for about 2 years, and I also freelanced before that. So I have a little bit of experience, but I'm still in my early career, and I consider myself an early career mentor. And I'm here because in August, I made a challenge for myself in which I wanted to help mentor other early career learning and development professionals, especially women of color. And ever since then, I have talked to about 30 or 40 people about where they want to go in their instructional design careers. And a lot of the same topics keep coming up, especially how to showcase your work. A lot of you are trying to get into the industry, or you're trying to make a career pivot. And a lot of people are realizing how important it is to be able to quickly extract samples of their work. And there's no better way to do that than in an online portfolio. I've helped about 4 people build theirs now with one-on-one consultations. And I thought, why not do a webinar to help bring that all together? So tonight, I want to show you how you can quickly build an online portfolio yourself in a website without having to hire anyone to do it for you, and how you don't have to have any prior website knowledge to do that. And I want to show you how to easily manage and optimize that site for mobile, and how you can showcase your best work, and I'll give you specific tips on how to get it published quickly. So if that sounds good, go ahead and put a smiley face in the chat. If you haven't yet, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat too. This is going to be an interactive session. I'm going to be asking you guys questions, and I'm going to ask you for examples too. Hopefully you had a chance to download that workbook I made for you. So also, for everyone that participates tonight, I have 2 gifts I want to send off to 2 people. I've got this cool little storyboard workbook that I found. It's actually in the gift guide that I made. So if you want to see that, you can check that out on LinkedIn. And it is just what it says. It's got great little templates for storyboarding. If you're new to instructional design, this is really great for if you're into e-learning development, or if you're writing scripts for any kind of trainings. This is a really great way to visually outline stuff. And then I've also got a really neat planner by James Clear, who wrote one of my favorite books of the year about about changing your habits. And he's really about creating systems. So everybody that I mentor, I talk about creating systems so that you can change habits. And I got that from James Clear. And so that's one of the things that I want to give away tonight. So if you're an active participant in the chat, if you've, working towards publishing your portfolio, I hope I can get one of you or 2 of you can get one of these. We'll talk about that more later. All right, so I see Tiedra is here from Dallas, and Carmel is also from Dallas. If there's anyone else in the room, go ahead and introduce yourself. You guys are in the same area, so if you're having some of the same issues, if you're looking for accountability partners, there are people just like you here, so that is great. So I've got 2 full hours of content. If you can't stay the whole time, that's fine. I will send a replay out later, but I am going to actually show you how to go in and, build a website real quickly. I can't show you everything, but I'll show you how to at least get started. So this is really great for people who have nothing. And if you already have a portfolio and you're just looking for advice about what to put in it, that's going to be good for you too. So if this all sounds like a good plan, can you guys drop emojis in the chat? If not, don't worry about it. We can stick to smiley faces, but I'm going to ask you to communicate with me that way. And I'll also have a chance for you to, if you have your speaker on, I'll ask for questions and you can actually speak and ask me live questions. I'll let you know when you can do that, okay? All right, so let's get started. I like to start with a quote. So when you know the power of manifestation and speaking things into existence, you move differently. You place your energy in what you can control. And in 2018, I did it. I did the whole vision boarding, but I really stuck to was writing a list of things I wanted to accomplish. And when I look back at the end of the year, without even really even realizing it, I crossed off almost everything on that list, and anything that didn't get crossed off was because it wasn't supposed to happen, and I wasn't disappointed about it in any way. So I understand the power of manifestation, and you have to take control of your career and of your personal goals, and you being here is already doing that. I'm about to help you move differently, so let's get started. So in tonight's discussion, we'll did our meet and greet in the chat. That can go on as long as people keep coming and going and keep introducing yourself. If you want to stop and check in with each other at any time, go ahead. You can also drop questions in the chat. I will answer them for you. After that, our little meet and greet, we're going to define the problem. And that's when we're going to go through the workbook that I made for you and why it's important, why you need to, if you haven't already filled that out, go ahead and go through it. Then we'll talk about the actual act of building your portfolio. And then once you build that portfolio, what do you do? A lot of people will help you create it, but like, what do you do once it's out there? How do you make use of this new artifact that you've created? And then we'll wrap it up by having action items. I'm really committed to making sure I always have those ready for you guys so that you know what you should do next. So if that sounds good, go ahead and drop another smiley face in the chat and we'll get started. If you have questions at any point, let me know and I'll answer them for you. If you put them in the chat, and then I'll do a live portion where you can get on your mic and ask if you want. So I know some of you are on your computer or maybe you're on your phone. I don't know if you can leave an emoji or not. If not, there is a desktop website called Get Emoji where you can copy and paste them in. But I want to be able to check in with you throughout the webinar tonight. So let's start by asking a few questions. So if you know what I'm talking about when I'm mentioning the workbook, go ahead and put that raise the roof emoji or just say, yes, I completed it in the chat. If you did some of it or if you were able to take a look at it, let's go ahead and do a hand clap for you. And if you don't know what I'm talking about or you just didn't get a chance, life is busy, it's the holiday season, I totally understand. Go ahead and put, I haven't started it, or you could put the strong arm, it's up to you. And let me know, because I want to know how far we are, if I can skip over some stuff, or if I need to go in depth about certain things. That'll help me get a gauge of where everybody is. Again, if you can't leave an emoji, just go ahead and write out the sentence or something, but just let me know where everybody stands. That'll be really helpful for me. All right. Carmel says she glanced at it. Good. So at least you know what I'm talking about. That's important. I just want to make sure that everybody knows what I'm talking about when I talk about the workbook. Amy has it and read it through. Okay, great. Awesome. So moving on, you guys can keep dropping your answer in the chat. Good. Carmel said she wrote down the things she needs to do so she could take notes. Cool. So the hardest part about solving a problem is accurately defining that. And I think that's a great quote for what we're doing right now. And then also just for instructional design, learning and development as a whole. We talk a lot about needs analysis, front-end analysis, and like what we need to find, defining the performance issue, performance problem before we make a plan of attack. So before we go on and we start building your portfolio website, let's go ahead and define exactly the issues around portfolio building. So the biggest question is going to be like, why do you need an online portfolio? On what problem would it solve? So if you guys want to drop your answers in the chat, go ahead and answer that for me. Also, what's getting in the way of building your portfolio? And what do you do after you build it? So I know if for some of the people that I've talked to, they may have a portfolio already that they built in school. but it was for an assignment and they built it and got their A and then they kept it pushing. Other people feel like they aren't really looking for a job right now, so they don't know why they need an online portfolio. Some people just are like, I didn't know I needed one for this profession. Do any of those sound familiar to you guys? Well, you do need an online portfolio. I'm just reading your comments here. Edra said, I read it and I have an idea of what I want to do. I can't decide which area of L&D I want to go into. And that you need something, talking about portfolio besides LinkedIn, because it's a great resource, but it doesn't share your work. Exactly what I was about to get into. So, for instance, you might have gotten called for a job interview. Someone saw your LinkedIn profile. They may have even seen some of your work on LinkedIn because you can attach short versions of things. Maybe they even read a comment you left that was really great, but now they're asking you to share some of your work. And they're saying, hey, I want to see a sample of something that you've done so that I want to make sure you're a right fit for this job. And you know you could do it. You could even put it together real quickly for them. But how much better would it be if you could just throw them a link to a website that already exists and show how prepared you already are? I'm telling you, it's the little things about preparation that are going to set you apart from so many other people. Okay, because if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready, right? So there you go. You need an online portfolio to showcase your work so that you're always ready and prepared for anything that comes at you. Even if you're already in a job, you have a job you like, one day you might get access to something you didn't even know you wanted, a job you didn't even know you wanted. Just always be prepared. So what's getting in the way of building your portfolio? I think for some people, you just don't know what to put in it. You don't know what you would show. Maybe you're in a space where you haven't created anything yet, or you feel like there's nothing to show off. I know for a long time, I thought people who were designers only needed portfolios. The truth is, anytime you put out work that you're proud of, it should be in your portfolio. And I don't care if you are an HR assistant, find some way to showcase it. And I'll show you examples on how to do that a little later. So our problem here is that we didn't know we needed one, okay? We need to solve, we're using the online portfolio to solve the issue of not having quick access to our work, or we don't know what to put in our portfolio. So I built that workbook for you guys so that you can kind of figure out all this stuff before you get into the actual building of it. Because the truth is, you can't build out your website if you don't have this information. If you don't already have it organized, if you don't have at least 50% of this done, then you're not going to be able to click publish tonight. But I promise you in the next few days, you will be able to, especially once you finish that workbook. Now, here are your must-haves. It's not a long list. It's just 4 things. And when we go into the structure of the site, you'll be like, this looks so doable. This is an approachable method, and I'm sure you can do this. So if you have an updated resume, that can be one of your biggest hurdles, though. I hate resumes. I hate them. I will review your resume, but they're just such an old, antiquated way to approach things that you just have to do, right? I hate writing my own resume. I hate updating it. It's boring, but it's something you have to do, okay? It's something that you really need. You need it. Any questions? Did I miss anything? No. Okay. So you need an updated resume that includes your latest job, that has a format that works with systems that people are using today. If the last time you updated the format of your resume, not just the content, but the format of your resume was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you need a new resume, girl, okay? Next, a domain name. Domain name is how people find you on the internet. It's your address. Okay, Carmela agrees. She says, I hate resumes. I have a hard time showing my work ethic and job responsibilities. That is a great point. This is another way to show all those things you're not sure how to show on your resume. Now, you should work with somebody who can help you get that message across on your resume, but a portfolio is just such an excellent component to fill in all those blanks that you feel like your resume doesn't show, okay? Domain name. You need to own your own domain name. My name is Nyla Spooner. I own nylaspooner.com. I also use Nyla LXD for Learning Experience Designer, as my blog portfolio site, but I own both and they point to each other. I understand why people keep the built-in website builder addresses, which would be like nyla.squarespace.com, because it's free. But the truth is, this is your career and you should invest in it. And it's really not that expensive in the long term, okay? Own your domain name, and we'll talk about how to do that. Then you need to choose a website builder. That's different from your domain name host. And some people use Google Sites or GoDaddy to build their websites. I don't recommend that. If you're not a website builder, if you're not someone who's familiar with coding and all that, you're going to want to use an easy to use content management system, a website builder, to get your site up, okay? I like to use Squarespace or Wix, and I'm also going to show you 2 apps you can use on your phone alone to build a website. And finally, you need project samples. You need to be able to showcase your work, and these need to be samples that are short, that have no proprietary information, and that are some of your best work, okay? So those are the 4 things you have to have if you want to get this done quickly. Carmel says, GoDaddy has coupons for 99 cents. You just have to spend some time searching. You're right. There's plenty of hosting sites, GoDaddy, Namecheap, Bluehost, that will sell you domain names for pretty cheap. I think I pay $10 a year for mine. If you have a common name, it might be a little harder to get that for a good price. So that's why it could be good to think of another brand that you want to associate with your name. The last comment says, I love Squarespace. So would the link to the domain name replace the LinkedIn link that is on your resume? So that's a good question. I wouldn't replace your LinkedIn link. I would keep your LinkedIn link and also the link to your website. There should be room for both on your resume. Okay, and if your name is easy to find on LinkedIn and you're running out of room for whatever on your link on your resume, then you should be able to just say search my name on LinkedIn. But you could also, I think on a lot of applicant tracking systems, they have areas for you to type in, your LinkedIn plus your website. So you don't have to replace them. There should be room for both. Okay, so those are our must-haves. Next, the brainstorming area of your workbook. Let me know if you want me to pull up the workbook as well, because I can do that. But in that brainstorming area, I had 6 sections for you guys to fill out. It was your instructional designer philosophy. If you're not an ID by trade, this would just be your learning and development or your professional philosophy in general. The reason you want to identify that is because you need to figure out what you need to showcase on your portfolio to get your the theme of your professional career across. Next, you want to identify what your ideal job is, because that's also going to help you figure out what your portfolio needs to look like. You also need to identify your audience. That's going to be a really key point, because it might show you that you need more than one portfolio. Now, when I say more than one, I don't mean you have to build several different websites. You might just need to have one page that looks like one thing and one page that looks like something else, depending on who your audience or audiences are. The next one is blog topics. And I say this and a lot of people cringe because they're like, I don't want to blog, but it's going to make sense once I keep going. This is going to be a key part of you promoting your portfolio once you're done with it, okay? Is writing those articles or those blogs. So brainstorming blog topics now early is going to help you figure out what you want it to look like, what you want your portfolio to look like, and how you're going to advertise it to people once you're finished with it. And then last is your self-summary, which is really kind of just going to be, hey, this is who I am, this is what I want, and this is why I think you should hire me, or this is why I think you should read my blog, or something like that, okay? So self-summary is also important. Next in the workbook, we talked about site structure. And the reason this is important is because once you have an outline of what you're gonna have, it's gonna be really easy for you to create pages of your website. You're not gonna have to sit there trying to figure out navigation and all that because you already have a basic site structure. And that includes your introduction, your projects, your services if you're trying to freelance, or your resume if you're trying to get hired by a company. And finally, how people can get in contact with you. That's all you need. Your website could be done just like that. You just have 4 pages, or if you just have a website that just scrolls down, you just have 4 sections. So how hard is that? It sounds doable, right? Approachable. And then finally in the workbook, I had a list of resources that can help you kind of build out your website if you're kind of stuck. So I showed you a website where you could find project prompts, the list of different website builders, and examples of blog posts. So that was the workbook. I just wanted to run through it real fast if you hadn't had time to really go through it. And if you have, or even started it, you're already in a better place, and we can get you to publishing before the end of the year. All right? If you need another copy of the workbook, there should be a link in some of the emails I sent you. I can send it again. And if you have any questions about filling it out, you can drop it in the chat, or you can send me an email and I'll help you out with it, okay? So this is where we get to the fun part. I'm putting this up front in this webinar because I know some people are here for that meaty part of it. So I'm gonna show you how to quickly just get started throwing up a website. Even if you can't build out your website completely tonight, it's possible for you to even throw up something called a cover page so that you can at least get started and have that domain name purchased and somewhere where people can start going to get interest, okay? Just a moment, you guys. I'm struggling. I still got a little stuffy nose, so give me a second. So when you're building a website, it's really easy nowadays because we've got these great website builders, Squarespace, Wix, you might have heard of WordPress. We're going to stick to Squarespace and Wix tonight. You may know other website builders, and that's great. Feel free to use it if you want. I can even help you one-on-one if you need that. I'm familiar with others, but we're just going to stick to these 2 tonight because I think they're the easiest for beginners. If you have worked in either of these before, go ahead and say that, especially if you said that you're a blogger to Idra. So what do you use to build your website that you're blogging on right now? That could be helpful too. And then I'll also show you the phone apps that I promised. Squarespace and Wix is what people are using. So great, you already know kind of how to navigate those website builders. So I want to be clear before we move on that a website builder helps you create the actual website. Now you can buy your domain name through these websites, or you can buy them separately. Okay, I always host separately because if I decide to switch between website builders for whatever reason, like I just migrated everything over from Squarespace to Wix, it was really easy for me just to transfer out the domain name, because it was a third party. And it's not that it's more difficult if you have it owned by Squarespace or Wix, but I just like a third party host, so that's why I buy my domain names through Namecheap. Now, does anyone here tonight need help buying a domain name? If you don't understand how to do that, let me know. But if you do, then I'll start with creating let me know if anyone needs help with that. I'll just go ahead and I'll follow my outline that I have here. And then that'll work for everybody. So I want to start by making sure you have an outline of the pages you want to include in your website so that you can put that aside and get into the actual building. So a sitemap is, let me pull it up for you real fast. So this is kind of what a basic sitemap looks like. Can you see what I'm looking at here? I just switched screens real fast. So this is something that can be helpful for you to sketch out if you're trying to figure out the pages of your website. This is how people plan out like the menus of their websites. You're not going to have anything with this many on your portfolio at first. You don't need it. If you want to build it out more later, that's up to you. This can help you figure out your page structure. And a lot of times website builders use this kind of structure when you're trying to create new pages in the website builder. So this is a good example. This is a home button. So in your navigations would be home. And then these are the different sub pages under home. Okay. So let's say that these, we were talking about the structure before of our course, of our website. So we had introduction, projects, services, resume, contact information. Those would be your main buttons or main navigation. And then if you needed to put anything under those, that's where they would go on the other side of the column there on the sitemap. Okay, so that's your basic outline. So now that we have that already, we can go ahead and create our actual website pages. So this is where you decide what kind of builder you're going to use, and then you choose a template and use what we did in those website pages to start building that out. So while I have you here, I'm going to take you over to the back end of my Wix site. So this is my portfolio site. This is what my content management dashboard kind of looks like here. Wix is a little more complicated, I think, on this end than Squarespace, but I just liked the look of Wix. And I'd had Squarespace for like 5 years, so I decided I wanted to change. So I'm going to go to actually edit my site and show you how I've structured it and the kind of template I decided on and why I did that. So it's loading right now. Hopefully it comes up soon. Let's see. Okay, so this is a template I've used from Wix. I've only changed the colors. I think that was about, and the copy of it is different. But this is a template from Wix. And I liked it because it was a parallax page, meaning it has continuous scrolling. I really liked that. But then I also built in separate pages up here in this navigation as well. You don't have to have as many pages as I do, but I have my home button, which is this main page. I've got my portfolio, which has examples of my work, and my blog here, and some other stuff that I've added just because I'm using this as a branding site as well. Okay. I add new pages here, and these are the pages that I can move around with this little grabbing tool here if I want to, and that changes where it pops up on my navigation here. And when I want to edit a page, I just click on it and it lets me edit it. So this is my actual portfolio of work here. And I also have links to my blog that explains each portfolio piece. And this here is my blog. So I think everyone that is in the chat right now is pretty familiar with manipulating websites. But if you haven't before, this is basically how you're going to work in a website builder. You're going to add pages. If you're not ready for them to be live, you can hide them while you work on them, and you can reorder them as well. When you're starting out, if you're not familiar with building websites, I would try to look for layouts and for templates that are pretty simple. Okay, you don't want something with a ton of different pages or headers and footers or hidden menu. That can get really confusing really quickly. So just look for simple templates. So that's Wix. I think Wix can be fun for people who know a little bit more about navigating websites, website builders. Let's look at Squarespace now. Squarespace is really great for beginners. Okay, let's look. And I do have both. You don't have to. I had a Squarespace site for a really long time, and I didn't want to get rid of it totally, so I do still have it. And that's where nylaspooner.com lives. You don't have to live that multiple website life. So this is a template I have. So right now it's just like a landing page I have. This is a really old headshot. I didn't want to use it anymore. And I just wanted to be more flexible with what I did with my website. So that's why I moved to Wix. But this is a pretty nice and simple template. That's why I like it. Right now, this is just a cover page that links to that site. But if you look here, here's my sitemap. And these are the different pages that I can click on and then edit. So these are going to look a little wonky because this isn't live. You can't see this right now on my website, but these are older pages that I had that are now hidden. But they're pretty easy to edit. I can just click on a section and it's editable. Okay, and I just add in what I need to. So here was a section about with my actual resume. Here I was trying to add in some of the work that I did and describing what I did here. And then this is just how you manipulate your navigation, okay? If it's grayed out, it's totally hidden or inactive. And right now I don't have any navigation to these links either. They're not linked, rather. But what's great about Squarespace is that they have really simple, clean templates. So I believe the one I was using now is Pursuit. I tell people to use Ready a lot as well. And Sophia. So let's preview Sophia. This is one of my favorite templates to have people use when they're building their blogs. I'm sorry, their portfolio sites, because it's another just continuous scrolling site. So you don't have to worry about physically trying to build in a ton of navigation up here. You just have a site where somebody can just keep scrolling down to see what they want to see. And it's really great for mobile too. And then you can pick and choose new pages, and you can link to outside things, other sites, or work that you want people to download. So here I had a download resume button. They can learn more by downloading stuff from my Belize trip And there you go. So this was actually my first portfolio site. Really simple, but it got the job done. If somebody needed to see an example of my work, there it was. And it didn't take me very long to build this. So if you're looking for a good template to use to start, I would actually start with Sophia on Squarespace. Okay. All right. So you'll choose your template. Let's say you chose Sophia, and then you're going to start building out those pages we're talking about. So your sections would be your introduction. So let me show you here. This is what I decided my introduction was 2 years ago, right? So I wanted to talk about, I put a quote that I thought exemplified what I thought about learning and education. So this is what I'm talking about, your philosophy. This right away, somebody knows what my view of learning and development is. And then I added my own paragraph about that and what I believed about it. And then what I wanted to bring to the profession. This is just a placeholder here. And then remind me to tell you guys compelling places to find images. This is from a site I use called Create Her. They're one of the first stock photo sites to feature Black women. I was like, I'm tired of digging deep to find Black lady hands holding a computer. And Create Her was charging me $7 a month at the time to have access to all these great photos, flat lays, all that kind of stuff. So I really recommend them if you're looking for stock photos. Next, I was talking about learning facilitation, my resume. So this looks just like that other site the back end of the other site. And then at the end is more of an about me. This is about who I am, not just my profession, but who I am as a person, because it's really important that you also inject a little bit of you. I mean, you don't have to tell them, you like to eat movies on the couch or, gossip with your girlfriends. They don't need to know your whole life. But I do think it's important to put a little something personal so people get an idea about who you are. And that kind of helps you weed out other people too, because you want to find somewhere where you're comfortable in the culture, right? So I'm not against putting a picture. Some people don't want to do that. That's totally up to you. If you don't want to put a picture on your portfolio site, don't. But I had one, and then just a little stuff about myself. And so that personal summary in your workbook will help you figure that out. Another important reason to really have that workbook is that you've already written out a bunch of stuff. So you can just copy and paste it into your website. Okay? And then at the end, always important, a contact form. How else are people going to reach you? The worst thing you can have is this great website and then no way for people to get into direct contact with you. You don't want it where it sits in some other database. This should be directly dropped into your email box, notifications on your phone, so that if someone's like, I want to learn more about you and bring you in to work for me, get that right away. And even though I have this form here, I still have the email address written out down here. Don't email this email address though. This is not a live site. If you want to contact me, it's going to be nyla@nylalxd.com. Okay? You should already have my email. Okay. So are there any questions about the physicality of building your website? If you need more resources about how to work Squarespace, YouTube is your friend. Carmel asked, how can we get an email that goes with our domain and website? Sure. So when you purchase your domain through GoDaddy or whatever, they usually give you an option to purchase email service as well. I do everything through Gmail, through Google. So what I do is I pay for that extra $5 a month to get the G Suite is what it's called. And then you just connect it with your domain. There are directions to do that. And you can get, Carmel at carmelellis.com or Nyla at nylaspooner.com. Okay. And also, I think your website builder will give you that option. So let's go back here. If I go to, I have to remember where, yes. So in Squarespace, under settings, you can go to email and G Suite, and they'll give you a plan through this. So your website builder can do it, your domain host can do it as well, okay? So I think I pay for mine through my website builder. So if that's confusing, let me know. How you choose to do it is up to you. Get everything through your website builder if you want to. Does that answer your question? Okay, awesome. So yeah, right now it's $6 a month. That's not bad for professional email. And it looks good when it looks like you have your stuff together. If you tell someone to email you at yourname.com, it's like, oh, she's got a website. Okay. So it's all about creating a package, right? You want to be packaged in a way where you look like you spent time on polishing your brand. And when you do that, it means that you have a commitment to this profession. And people like to see that. So it might be a lot of little things that you're like, why does that matter? Why does that matter? But all together, it creates a package that looks nice, that looks like you're a put together professional. And, you know, I think if you can package it up nicely like that, it puts you ahead of other people who are just scrambling and pulling things for different places, you know? So yes, if you can pay that extra $6 to get your email, you should do it. Okay. So before I move on, how are we feeling? Do we have any questions? Any other questions? All right. So let's say you've built out something and you're ready to connect your domain. And you can do this at any point. You can connect your domain before you get started or once you've built everything out. Some people like to wait because they want to make sure that they are 100% gung-ho about the domain name they've chosen. But that's why I say buy your name, your government name as your domain name, because that's not going to change most likely. Sometimes it might for many reasons. But if you buy your domain name, then you don't have to be like, oh my God, that brand, you know, reindeer learning, I don't want to do that anymore. Well, if it's just, you know, nylaspooner.com, then it doesn't matter what business I opened in 2018. If it's still going or not in 2020, I still own nylaspooner.com. Okay, but if you know, once you're ready to buy your domain name, let's see, you can go back to your website builder and it will help you connect to your domain pretty easily. So Wix has a really nice article about how to connect your domain or transfer it to Wix if it's in somewhere else. And then Squarespace has the same thing as well. So again, I can't go into everything tonight because I only have a couple hours with you, but it should be pretty easy to do if you just follow the directions one by one. Now, this is kind of the area where I did have to help people a lot one-on-one. So if you get to a point where you're just stuck, schedule a one-on-one with me, a couple hours, and we can make sure that you're able to publish and go live. So one thing I want to be clear is that when you're editing your website, you need to double check and make sure if your pages are live or not, to make sure you're not doing all this work and it's automatically publishing. And then people are seeing an incomplete piece of work on your portfolio. Okay. All right, so that's what's going to go into building your website. Okay, so you're just going to create your pages and connect your domain. Now, we haven't talked about what you're going to put on there completely yet. We'll get into content, but it's just really important you understand what's going to go, how to actually build the physical website. So it's really simple to create your pages once you have your outline. You're going to choose your template, a simple one. I think those scrolling website ones are the best, where you just keep scrolling to get it. And then connect your domain. Okay? Now there's two more things I want to mention about building your website. One is that there's no way to go but digital, okay? You can make a website from your phone now for free, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But what's important about these website builders is that they automatically create websites that are optimized for mobile. I don't care what HR used to be. Now we're doing so much on our phones that there might be recruiters or managers or somebody might be looking at your website on their cell phone. So you want to make sure that your site is optimized for mobile as well. So if you go to my website right now, nylalxd.com on your phone, it's going to look a little different than it does on desktop, but that's because my Wix template is optimized for mobile and desktop. Okay? Now, if building a website on the computer is like daunting for you at this point, I have some alternatives for you. I know somebody who does everything on mobile, and I found two apps that will allow you to build your personal website completely on your cell phone. So Milkshake is the first one, milkshake.app. It is for Android and Apple. So here's a little demo. Oh, I can't play it for you because this is a PDF. But I will send out a copy of this presentation as well. And actually, I can show it to you guys here. If you can't tell, I used Canva to build this. So let me show you this first one. So this is what Milkshake looks like. Let me know if you can see this video playing right now. So Milkshake is something that's really for Instagrammers who don't want to build out a full website, but they need to put something in that little link area. So Milkshake is a really great app where you can list links, or you can create an About Me kind of placeholder page. It uses a system of cards. That's their version of website pages. Add your first card to, just kind of have different info about your services, your business, about who you are. And you build this completely on your phone. And I just think that this is a really easy way, especially if you have your samples linked somewhere, like maybe in Google Drive or in Dropbox, then you can just drop your links into this app, and in less than an hour, you could have a little quick portfolio site, okay, that you can then link on your LinkedIn or even on your resume. This link would go anywhere you would put a normal link, and it's more image-based, and I wouldn't have this as a permanent option, but if you need something quickly, this is going to be great. So if you have Android or iOS, you should try out the Milkshake app. It's too easy not to try. So if you're kind of like mind blown by building your own website, but you can navigate an app, I would try that out. The next one is Universe. So that's on universe.com if you want to download, and it's only iOS, unfortunately, but this one's another website builder. This one is a little bit more regular website looking. You can create pages, and they're both free to start, but they also have paid tiers to get more of a premium, and all website builders are like that. But this one is a little bit more that you can play with. This Milkshake is pretty simple and streamlined, but Universe lets you do a whole lot of stuff. And you are basically manipulating these blocks and adding things on the page that way. So again, there is no reason anymore not to have an online portfolio. not having a computer, if you have a phone, a smartphone of any kind, and a lot of us do, then you can find a way to get what you need made. And I think one thing that, it's hard to give yourself flowers, but one thing I realize is that I know how to take the time to get done what I need to get done. And the internet has too many possibilities, so there's never an excuse not to have something. So the next time someone tells you, I don't have time to do that, or I can't create that, no, there's totally a way to do that. And so I think these apps are really great. And so you should definitely download them if you can and try them out. And also don't ignore Instagram as a way to brand yourself as an instructional designer or as a learning and development professional, especially if you're looking into maybe freelancing at some point. You should definitely get on Instagram. And these are a great way to have something in that link area to build a website and to brand yourself that way. Okay? All right, so, and they're mobile optimized automatically because they're built on phones. I haven't seen what Milkshake and Universe sites look like on desktop. I imagine they look best on mobile, so keep that in mind. That's why I say it's not a permanent option. All right, I want to check in with you guys. I've been talking for a while. Where's the actual? There we go. Let's check in. So are we all on the same page? Let me know what questions you have so far. Like, what haven't I answered yet that you want answered? Who is ready to start kind of opening up a website builder and creating their portfolio if you haven't already? And who just needs help choosing a website builder or organizing your samples? Carmel says that they are ready right now to start building, or we're on the same page. Is that what you mean? So it doesn't seem like anyone start writing content. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to get inspiration for your content. All right. Well, first, I'm hoping some of you did some of the pre-work. If not, I have examples to show you. But let's talk about what inspires us, what kind of portfolio sites we like to see. Because now that you know how to build, sometimes sitting there thinking of a design can be the tricky part, even if there's a template. You have a template to get you started, but it still needs to have your personality in it. So you're going to want to start playing around with it. And I think getting an idea of what you like and why you like it can help you figure out what your site should look like. So let's share some that we like. If there is a portfolio website that you really like, or if you can Google some right now and drop a link in the chat, and then we'll take a look at them live. I'll get started with the one I like. So one of my mentees, she just launched hers a couple months ago. She's a technical writer who wants to get more into instructional design. And technical writers and instructional designers do a lot of the same stuff. So hers is a career pivot. It's not a complete change. She's just kind of, she's this way and she wants to face more this way. But it's in the same realm. So I helped her buy her name. So her name is Blanche Allen. And let's see, let's go to her. Website. All right, so let's look at a few things here. If this looks familiar, if this template looks familiar, this is the Sophia template I was telling you about from Squarespace. I like it because it was easy for her to, she figured this all out on her own. We met twice for a couple hours on 2 Saturdays, but she did 90% of this on her own. I helped her with a few small things, but she never built a website before. But she was able to really do a good job here. So at the top here, we know right away her name and what she does. And then I believe this must be linked to her LinkedIn. Okay, now we have a really to the point summary, a couple sentences about who she is, what she does, and also, what she'd like to do. So her name is Blanche Allen. She's a writer, editor, learning designer, and creative thinker. And I create content designed to address audiences with various levels of knowledge. This is kind of also your elevator pitch, right? If you only have a couple seconds to grab someone's attention, then you want to do that in short sentences that get to the point. And that's going to be really important. So if I'm not sure what Blanche does, I now know that she can write, she can edit, she does something in learning, and she's creative, okay? But now I know that she creates content designed to address audiences with various levels of knowledge. So I know everything she does right here. I think that's great. Okay, next, she's got a brief professional summary. So I know her certifications. I see some keywords here that I would see in job descriptions. I know her level of experience, some of what she can do, and a little quote here that kind of gets me into her space with her her professional goals and vision, her professional philosophy. Now she has a section here where she's got examples right away. So I just had to scroll down a little and I'm already at her examples. That's great. And I click on these and let's see where it takes us. I can see live samples of her work. I see what she's written here. I see that she can do a press release. I see that, she can also do a storyboard. Let's see what that looks like. Here she's got a storyboard. Okay, I know that she's familiar with that term. She's got good, consistent branding with the storyboard. Okay, I know she can do that. Let's keep scrolling. Here, okay, I see her education. And then she's got a great section here, testimonials, people that have worked with her here. And then now I know how to contact her. So I think this is a great example of making the best use of a template and getting something up, not fretting about, being a website designer or making it look like I'm some sort of, really experienced graphic designer. No. We spoke to her strengths. I knew Blanche was a great writer because she does it professionally. She was able to, kind of strategize what she wanted to include. She has direct examples of her work, and she's got testimonials and a way to contact her. She's got everything. I did tell her that once she gets a little more comfortable working with Squarespace, she can add, excuse me, she can add pictures of some kind and start writing articles. But if she needed to go to a job interview tomorrow and she needed to show them something quickly with links to her work, she's got it. And how great is that? So she was able to do this in about 2 weekends. So, I think she did a lot of work on her own learning how to build the site. But I was really proud of her and what she did here. So it doesn't have to be super complicated. You really just want to have ownership over your name and content where it can be found. Because once your name is out there, you're now in the Google results, okay? And another reason you want to start creating content and updating your website, not just letting it be out there stagnant, is that every time you add something, that's going to affect your Google results. So if I Google her name and she keeps adding things to her portfolio, more and more stuff is going to show up. Okay. So let's see. There's something in the chat, so let's try this site. Ebony King. Okay, Adria, you want to tell me why you like this one? And you can get on the mic if you want. I love it. I love the colors.
I do know her personally.
Oh,
and I've seen like a lot of her work in action, but this was the first portfolio I've ever seen.
Oh, okay.
And I was just like, this is it's exquisite and it's different. But the thing that caught my attention was literally her resume. So that was the first time where I saw someone's resume like on their website. And I really didn't think anything of it. But when I saw like her work experience and looking at like hers compared to mine, I was like, okay, I just need to like wait for a minute, not now, not thinking that this is something that I could use no matter where I am in my career.
Yeah, of course. You know, especially if you're, first of all, this is a beautiful site. And it has a lot of features that makes me think that she had it professionally done. But I also think that there are probably templates that look similar. And I think it would look really good on mobile as well because of how it's a scroll down like this. And it's all very in this kind of columned look. So it probably looks really good on mobile as well. It's got great colors. The colors are consistent, which makes me think this is a part of her branding. And that's not on the top of the list right now for you guys to figure out like key colors or anything like that. But it is something to keep in the back of your mind because branding is also about psychology and getting people to associate certain colors or certain looks with you. And that's just all about memory and recall. Because when you read more about learning, it's not that we really remember things for what happens, it's that we remember how they make us feel. So if something really catches your eye, like you just described, this site made you feel something, and that's why you came back to it. So if you can elicit some sort of feeling into your brand, into your portfolio, that's going to be great too. So yeah, she's got interesting text and fonts here. I can scroll down. I get a clear idea that she's got her professional. Okay, yeah. So it does look good on mobile. And I could tell right away, it probably looks real. Stuff like this is a little tricky on mobile, like the gallery, but it might be optimized for mobile so that when you look at it on a cell phone, it automatically looks like a different kind of gallery. So it probably does do that. Here she's got a clear LinkedIn, connect on LinkedIn button, so I can connect with her that way. I know what she does for her ministry and professionally, her education, links to her, her work, media. Use those media blocks. If you've got, videos, put that in there. So yeah, this is a good one. Let's see what she has under here. So she's got her own promotional photos, and I guess this is her main page here, and then a connection to her Instagram. So yeah, I really like this as a portfolio site. If you guys have any other examples you want to show, drop them in the chat. So a little different ends. So that one was probably professionally done, and we've got Blanche's is more to the point about what she does professionally. So let's look at one other. So I don't know if you've heard of Tim Slade, but he is an e-learning developer. He's award-winning. He's a coach. He speaks a lot at different conferences. His is always one that I use for inspiration. Let's see if I can see his actual full. He has timslade.com. So it's his business website and his portfolio. Okay. So if you decide to start freelancing, you're going to want to think about your website also in terms of not only applying for a job, but maybe branding yourself as a freelancer or a contractor. That makes sense. So let's see. Under Work With Me, I go to Portfolio, and this is just where his work is. So when I say you're building your online portfolio, for some of you, it might just be examples of your work and your resume. For some of you, it might be like Ebony King had a lot of her different, she's got a resume, how you can book her to speak maybe, and her books. It all depends what you want to get out of yours. So here I can see his examples of his work. And so if you look at mine, it kind of emulates this in the same way that I liked that he didn't just have screenshots of his courses, because he is an e-learning developer. So all of his work is going to be e-learning based. Yours might not be that. We'll talk about what kind of work to put in a second. But, okay, Amy, bye. Have a good night. But yeah, this I like because he has his screenshots in a real environment, and it just brings some visual interest. It's not just a screenshot stuck, pasted all together. It looks nice and organized. I really liked that. And it's organized by type. So I thought that was good. And these aren't hard to make. So I have sort of the same thing, which I'll show you in mine. I'll show you here. So I've done something similar here, and I did these in Canva. So all I did was search for these images in Canva, and then the actual picture in the computer is a screenshot from my e-learning portfolio. Oh, sorry, from my e-learning project that I want to showcase. So it's just really easy to use. And then these are just uploaded as pictures, okay? So here's another example. All right, let's get back to this. So if you are going to be building a portfolio that has a lot of image examples, you just have to find interesting ways to show those. All right, so next, what do you showcase in your actual portfolio? Well, you're going to want to showcase writing samples, proposals, interactive artifacts that could be e-learning, or that could also be a video of some kind. You're also going to want to showcase storyboards, scripts. It all depends on what you end up focusing on in learning and development. If you're strictly an e-learning developer, most of your stuff you're going to want to show is interactive. You're going to show that you know how to develop things in Articulate Storyline, in Adobe Captivate, in Beyond, which is the what Go Animate is now called. If you're doing strict instructional design, you're not really into e-learning development, you're in the front end analysis part of it, you're going to want to showcase writing samples or proposals or storyboards or scripts. So it all depends on what you're focusing on. For Blanche, she is a technical writer, so a lot of her stuff is writing based, but she wants to get into e-learning. So I told her she needed to create artifacts or use things that she learned in her instructional design program and perfect them for her portfolio. If you're wondering about where to store things when you upload them, this is where I like to keep them. So for mine, my things are stored on Google Drive because it's free. I use the G Suite anyway. And I do pay, I think, I end up paying a little extra a month, I think like $2.99 for extra storage. But if you just have that's because I've been using the same Gmail account for years, and so it's just full of all sorts of stuff. I needed more room. But if you just have an account for this reason, then you wouldn't need that. It's good for storing document-based things, videos, and pictures. The next thing is your Amazon Web Services has a hosting. It's a hosting platform, and that's good for your interactive artifacts. So if you're building something in Adobe Captivate or Storyline, Google Drive won't hold it, but you can host it so it's at your own web address on Amazon Web Services. And there's plenty of information out there about how to do that, especially on elearningheroes.com. Next is just your basic website storage. A lot of your website builders will let you store things on their servers, but usually not if it's like a really long presentation or video. So if it's anything bigger, you're going to want to do your own hosting, like on Google Drive or AWS. So that's how you would showcase those, and then you can link to it on your website. So in Tim's case, he has buttons that link out to those things. Okay. I actually think this is just a different page on his own website. So in Tim's case, he probably can't share the actual course because it is for GoDaddy, but he's got screenshots here. Okay, so that's probably held directly on his website. Now, mind you, Tim's portfolio, he probably didn't build himself. This is probably a WordPress site. I mean, he might have, I don't know. But this is a WordPress site built by somebody who knows websites pretty well. And I'm not saying you can't create something like this, but I don't think this is a standard template that he has here. Okay, so some people are going to invest money, and this probably costs thousands and thousands of dollars, but this is his business, and this is his business investment. If you're starting out and you can build your own website, then do that. So when I say get inspiration from other people, I don't mean go try to copy exactly what they do, because sometimes they have a little bigger budget than you got. But, you know, the idea that he didn't invent having screenshots or buttons to stuff. So I think taking screenshots of your courses can be great too. Always remember that you should not add in any proprietary information, okay? So, again, if you are trying to figure out what to add, you can go to a website called, let me open it here. That's not the right thing. GoDesignSomething.co. Okay, so a lot of people have issues with what to put into their portfolio. They don't know what to add into it. What you need to do is just create something that looks good and has to do with what you are trying to either, what job you're trying to find or what message you're trying to get across. So if you're trying to establish yourself as an instructional designer with e-learning background or e-learning experience, then you're going to want to build something like this then. So this is a project generator. I don't know who made this. I need to figure that out. Oh, that's up here. But this is just such gold. You should favorite it right now. Add it to your bookmark bar. If you're building a portfolio, this is going to help you come up with ideas. So for somebody who needs help, this says, why don't you develop an interactive map or game of famous restaurants? What this would help you do is show a potential client or manager or whoever's hiring you that you know how to storyboard, that you know how to develop an interactive piece of interactive deliverable and create an outline. Okay, if you need another idea, this one is about developing a portable VTA or training aid for checking your oil. So it wouldn't necessarily be e-learning. It could be an app, or it could be something you can put on a keychain or keep in your glove compartment. And that can be designed in a number of ways. So this is just too good of a site. And if you need ideas to fill up your portfolio, I really suggest you go here and check it out. So that's GoDesignSomething.co. All right. Okay, you guys. We're coming to the end. So it's built. All right. Now what? You have created the site. You've even created new projects just for your site. You bought your domain name. You pressed publish. It's live. Now what? Too many people have done that and then they wash their hands of it. And I think a lot of people are here now. Maybe you already have a site, but you're not sure where to go next. Well, I think what you need to do is this. Promote, promote, promote. Promote your portfolio. Don't wait for a job interview to pop up to start sharing the link to your new site. Don't just put it on your resume and forget about it. What you need to do is to start telling everybody you know that you just finished or updated or created your portfolio site. That means you need to start blogging. Like I said before, I say this to some people and they shiver. But if you want to be in learning and development, you need to be a good writer. I don't care what part of learning and development you're in. And the best way to get better at something is to what? Practice it. And how can you do that? By blogging. What you're going to do is you're going to start writing LinkedIn articles and then putting it on your blog. Or putting it on your blog and then copy and paste it over into LinkedIn articles. That is the best way to start getting interest in what you've created. And if people know that you're going to be regularly updating it, they're going to be going there to check it out. And then they can see your other work. So if you can feed people from your network, wherever you have it built, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and people you don't even think would care. Start telling them about it because you never know who knows somebody that might know somebody that can get you your dream job. Okay? So just as soon as you're finished, it doesn't have to be perfect because ideally your portfolio is always a work in progress because you're always getting better at what you do. It'll never be 100% because this is a living, breathing piece of work that you have here because it's growing with you as you grow professionally. So you're going to blog, you're going to add a link to your resume. Okay, you're going to share it on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. If you don't have an Instagram or a Facebook, okay. But you're going to share it on all your social media that you finished this article, this portfolio. You're going to ask for feedback from people in your community, people that you met here tonight, people that you meet, professionally. You're going to say, hey, I have this portfolio. Can you check it out for me? I'm looking for feedback on it. And then also just tell them you want to take a look at it. And tell all your friends, send out a mass email to all your good girlfriends. Say, hey, if you love me, take a look at this. Tell people. And a lot of people don't know what instructional designers do. This is the perfect time. It's Christmas, it's the holidays. You have to see some family. This is a perfect time to help explain what you do. Like, take a look at my portfolio, my website. It talks about why I want to do what I do. Tell me what you think, okay? So, we're coming to the end. There you go. If you completed the workbook and you gathered all your materials and you purchased your domain, you have everything you need to actually publish ASAP. If not tonight, as soon as possible. And if you're not quite there yet, why? What is it that you're still missing that you aren't that much closer to pressing publish? You need to write that out and then create a checklist so you can mark it off. Okay? So what I want from everyone who's watching this tonight and in the next few days is to commit to try to go live with your either revised portfolio site or your new portfolio site by January. And it is the 19th, so that's not that long. You don't have to have a 10-page website. If you can get a website with the 4-part structure that I shared with you, if you can get all your materials or at least work on a project that you think that you can share in the next few weeks, then I think that you should try to do it. If you can commit to that, I will help you do whatever you can to meet that goal. Okay, if you need to schedule one-on-ones, we can do that. I'm not charging you for it. Take advantage of what I know, because I am willing to do that now. I don't know that I can do this forever, but I'm a resource you can use right now. If you're just lost about what to share, let me know. I am a font of ideas for other people, all right? So what can you commit to? Can you commit to publishing your new portfolio site in January? Because what a great way to kick off a new decade, am I right? Okay, so we've come to the end. We've made our commitments. We're going to publish our new portfolio site once we're finished with that workbook and buy our domain. And then we're going to promote the heck out of it, aren't we? Because there's no sense of putting all this good work into it without making sure it gets done. All right, you guys. I want to say thank you for spending this time with me. I think my voice is about to give out. But I just want to make sure that I have shared everything that I wanted to share with you tonight. Oh, you know what? I do want to say, I want to show you how to do something. This is, I think everybody that's still with me pretty much probably knows how to do this. But if you're not really familiar with how to build websites, I do want to show you something. So once you buy your domain name and you're like, okay, I don't know if I can get to a whole site by January. What you're going to do is you're going to have a cover page. Let's see. So you can create a new page. Let's look at Squarespace, for instance. And you can Google how to do this too. But the way that you can upload something right away, like the minute you sign up, if you already have work that you can showcase and it's stored somewhere in Google Drive with a link, you can get your domain name and throw up something called a cover page. Have you ever gone to a website and you've seen something like this that says coming soon? This is a really great way to garner interest in something before it's completely published or ready to go. So if you're in a spot where you just don't have all your materials together, or you don't have time to build out all your pages yet, if you can even just get a cover page up and start promoting that, I would be impressed. So look for something called a cover page and how to publish it on Squarespace or Wix or whatever you choose. And then what you can do is create a nice image-driven page here. So I can change the layout here. Here's some options from Squarespace. I really love a real image-driven cover page, but this is great too. This could be it. You can throw up a nice headshot of yourself, a selfie even, your name, a quick couple sentences about what you do, contact, okay, LinkedIn link, another email link. All right, I can set this as a live template. And I can start editing. And there you go. So there's plenty of ways to garner interest in your portfolio and to make sure you buy your domain name and have it a placeholder for it. It's just all about getting it done. I think a lot of times what's holding people back is just, you know, a little fear that they don't know what they don't know. Hopefully I was able to share some good tips with you tonight. If you have any other questions, let me know. What I'm going to do is I've been recording this and I'm going to I am going to edit it down a little and put it into a nice little video format and upload it to YouTube. And then I will blast it out for other people to see, okay? If you have questions, you can email me at nyla@nylalxd.com. You can schedule time for me to chat. It is the end of the year, so I'm running low on open appointment times. But once 2020 comes around, which is just in a few days, you guys, then it is going to open up and we can start. I'm also going to be sharing my plan for 2020 and my 100 IDs program. That's my goal, to help 100 women enter learning and development in the next 5 years. So if you want to learn more about what that's going to look like in 2020 and my mentorship program, then stay tuned and make sure you're checking your email and LinkedIn to see what's going on with that. I hope you all have a really great holiday season. Please enjoy and cherish your family and stay encouraged. I speak to a lot of people who sometimes get discouraged about entering this career space, but I'm telling you that it's worth it. And I'm telling you it's not easy. I know I have struggled a lot to get where I am, but it's worth it. And I hope that you continue to pay it forward because that's what I'm doing now, because a lot of people helped me get to where I am. But anyway, yeah, happy holidays. Have a great night. And I will see you at the next webinar. Bye, everyone. Thanks, girls, for sticking with me. And you too, Carmel and Adra, you guys are definitely going to get the Clear Habits and Storyboard notebooks because you guys stayed with me all night. Okay? So I'm not going to tell you which one's getting which, but what I need you guys to do is I'll email you separately, and then I'll get your addresses and everything. So I'm so glad you guys stayed with me, and I really appreciate your feedback and everything in the chat. And let's get together again soon so you guys can ask me questions if you need to, okay? All right. Good night.